Hey guys, welcome back to Olde Carr Guy. Today we're going to be back to work on the Grandpa truck. And if you don't know what the Grandpa truck, this is my 1995 Chevy K2500 with a 350, 410 gears. We upgraded the wheels and tires. And it was this truck that we traded our 2011 Ford Crown Victoria that was manual swapped. Now in the previous video on this truck, which I will leave linked right up here, you guys can go back and watch that. We picked this thing apart, we went over it, we found out what was wrong. And in an attempt to increase a little bit of fuel economy on this thing, we put some bigger wheels and tires on this thing. And today we're gonna do a tune-up, which is basically your old-fashioned plugs, wires, cap, rotor, fuel filter, air filter. And there's all of our parts. And if you guys aren't following me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll know that we had a problem with the wipers last weekend. So we're gonna fix those. We're gonna put some new wipers on it. We've got our distributor cap, we've got our rotor, we've got a PCV, we've got some spark plugs, we've got a fuel filter, and we got wires. Now I know that all of that stuff is basic tune-up stuff, but with modern cars today, most of them, they don't have any of this stuff. They got spark plugs, no fuel filters, no distributor cap, no plug wires, none of that stuff. Totally different. So we're just gonna go through, do a basic, and you guys are gonna follow along. So let's jump right into this video, get the hood popped, and, well, take a look at this 350. Now, one of the things that we had a problem with under the hood here was the AC compressor. The clutch was, well, bad. And so was the bearing in the compressor itself. And if you guys don't know already, I have a 1990 Chevy Suburban that we are LS swapping. So the 350 is out, and on that 350 was this exact air compressor. It bolted right on, and now everything under the hood is quiet once again. So while we wait for that engine to cool down a bit so that we can access those spark plugs and wires, we're gonna do a couple of these items that don't require me burning my fingertips. Then we're gonna get underneath the truck and we're gonna do the fuel filter and an oil change. And as we go along, we're gonna be talking about a few things that were actual common problems with these OBS Chevy trucks in the mid-90s. So let's get this thing up in the air, we'll get the oil drain, we'll access that fuel filter, and then we can drop it back down and start working up top after everything cools down. And fellas, anytime you're lifting a vehicle up on a hoist, always make sure that your pins get locked, even if that means readjusting your arms a bit out here. I'd hate to see anybody lose their ride off the hoist, and even worse, get injured or killed because, well, they didn't take those extra 2 seconds to lock those hoist arms. All right, this thing up in the air and the oil draining, we are actually gonna get under here where there's actually a fuel filter and spray those lines down and make sure that they've got enough help to come off of there. If you guys didn't get a good look at what kind of shape this thing is in, it is in immaculate shape underneath. All of this is undercoating, all this black stuff, and where you actually do see rust is just simply where the undercoating has come off. So it will need to be done again. But the frame is in excellent condition here, all the way back. Yeah, cover's coming off the shock, no big deal. Back here, the bumper is still in one piece. The ribs on the box, like it's just in really, really good shape. And one thing I am noticing that I don't have for some reason is I don't have a proper oil filter to fit this. The Wix number is a 51036. I don't have one, so I gotta run down to the parts store, grab one. And while I'm there, I'm also going to pick up some oil because I don't have any 5W30 on hand. And I'm also gonna pick up a U-joint. I know I've got a U-joint bad. I've got to figure out which one it is. But lucky for me, this one, and this one, they're all the same U-joint, and this back one back here looks like it's the only one that hasn't been changed in a long time. This one looks like it's fresh, and the one up there. So we will get that drive shaft out of there and likely be replacing this U-joint because we do have a vibration. So I'm gonna head to the parts store real quick, and I'll be right back. All right, so we got a new Wix filter on there. Drain plug is in with a new crush gasket. And now it's time to work on the fuel filter. That seems to have a bracket in the way and a torsion bar. Anyways, I think we can get at her. So we managed to get our fuel filter out of there. The fitting on the left was seized on the hose, so we got the other side out first and then just spun the filter off of it. But I want you guys to see, this is what your fuel looks like coming out, kind of clear. And like that's cloudy and dirty fuel coming from that side. So make sure that when we put your new filter in, there is a direction of flow. So we want to install that this way, which for some strange reason is just the opposite of the way this one came out. And we wonder why we're getting 9.6 miles to the gallon. Anyways, let's get this replaced. So just in case you're the next guy that has to work on that fuel filter, spray it with some undercoating if you live up in the north like I do, because it'll get rusty and look like that very, very quickly, and you don't want to be struggling with it. Like I said, if you're the next guy, if you're not, do the next guy a favor. It's pretty simple. Okay, so with the fuel filter done, oil change and filter done up there, we're now going to focus our attention to the drive shaft. So we're going to get this off of here and see for sure if this is our bad U-joint. If not, it could be that one or it could be this one. Either way, all three of them are the same U-joint on these trucks. One way or the other, we got to get it apart to see which one it is. So I'm going to start here and work my way up. So we got our drive shaft off, and we did mark it so that we can make sure that it's in phase or whatever they call it. But we found the problem. It is this U-joint. You can feel it binding right there. So we're going to get this U-joint out, get it changed. And I'm not sure if this slip yoke is meant to slide out of there or not. It doesn't seem to want to. But we may be able to use the press and press this in and out right here without taking it right off the vehicle. All right, so we got the U-joint in, not with a little bit of struggle, but we had the proper tools, and that's a ball joint press, because you can grab a hold of it from one side and squeeze out. And then when you go to put it back in, you just basically do the opposite. That's pretty cool. Watched a video for that, and these little locks, these external locks, they were rusted in pretty good on the original, and I was frustrated. So I called my dad. He wasn't available. I called John, one of the guys that works for me. He says, just take the torch to it and then shock it with some penetrating fluid. They'll basically fall right out. And they did. What do I know? So in turn, we are going to re-grease that because we're moving it around. Some grease was squeezing out onto the floor. And I think we're going to check the diff fluids while we're here, as well as the transfer case. And then we can drop this thing down, get back under the hood, put some oil in it, plugs, wires, cap, and rotor. Oh, and that wiper thing too. And an air filter. Long ways to go. All right, so now we're at the point where we're under the hood. We've got the oil put back in, and when we started it up, to make sure the oil level was where it needed to be. We also checked to make sure we didn't have any fuel leaks out of that fuel filter. Everything's good. And if you guys have a pickup truck and you're a DIYer, you need one of these underhood creepers. This particular one is made by Vevor. I'll leave a link in the description box down below if you guys want to check one of these out for yourself. They're not terribly expensive, and you're gonna save your guts from leaning up over everything and potentially damaging plastic underneath the hood of your truck. This thing allows you to lay down and work. It's got a little tool pouch in the front so that you can hold your tools, and it allows you to just access things a little bit easier. We're going to be reaching way back in here for the distributor and the rotor, as well as the plug wires. It's just going to be that much more simpler to be able to do it laying than stretching. Am I right or am I right? This thing is going to be a game changer for us. It's new. We've used it a couple of times. I'm about to use it for the first time myself. And like I said, if you're working on trucks, this just sure beats the heck out of, you know, having to put all that weight on your guts and bruise your belly all up. And if you're like me and you got a little bit of a dad bod, well, it's going to help you out in the long run. So again, check out that link in the description box down below for this Vevor underhood creeper. And while you're there checking out the description, make sure you hit up my merchandise link. It's the first link in the description box down below, where you can get OCG t-shirts, hats, hoodies, koozies, and stickers even for the channel. That helps support projects like the old grandpa truck here. And we do an LS swap. We do a lot of Crown Vic stuff. So if this is your first time here, welcome. But make sure you check out that merch link in the description box down below. Now, let's get under the hood of this thing and start tearing at those plug wires, cap, rotor spark plugs. Okay, so working on the passenger side, we got the spark plugs out and in order from number 1, 3, 5, and 7. I mean, they look like they're consistently burning. This one's got a great big chunk of carbon or something built up on the porcelain there, and they look like they don't look like they were gapped, maybe. But either way, they've been in there a while. They're quite rusty on the outside edges, and you can see the rust coming through them on the porcelain. So it's time for new spark plugs. The other thing that I noticed, you know, every once in a while I would have a bit of a miss, and I saw this on the manifold when I was taking the spark plug wires off, which corresponds to this, which is ultimately the reason why we're doing a tune-up to begin with. I thought it was just bad plugs, but no, we got a bad plug wire burnt off. I'll carry on with the passenger side, and we'll get the cap and rotor changed out if anything changes, or if anything's exciting, I'll be sure to jump in here and let you know. So I told you I wouldn't jump in here unless I come across something, and it's nothing serious other than the number 8 spark plug looked, let me get this into focus, looked quite white compared to the rest of them, and actually it's more of a brown, but nonetheless, compared to the rest of them, it was a lot whiter. Sometimes that's an indicator of a head gasket. I did take the camera, poked it down in there. I didn't see any signs of anything. And the motor's been sitting here for quite a while, not being run. So if there was anything leaking in there, it probably would have been there. Didn't see a thing. But one thing I do want to make mention of is when you get spark plugs out of the box, they're not always pre-gapped. These things I think call for a 045. Nowhere on the box does it say where to gap them. Gapping tools are available at your parts stores. I keep one right on my keychain all the time. And those ones were all at about 30 to 35, and they needed to go to 45. So they are all gapped now. We'll get those put in. Got to figure out how to get that cap off because it's a very, very small hex head bolt. I want to say it looks like a 6mm. I'm not sure I can find one of those, but anyways, we'll get that off. But so far, everything's going very, very smoothly. All those plugs come out, no issues at all. All right, so new cap and rotor is on the vehicle. And when we pulled the old one off, we see quite a bit of corrosion or down on these electrodes all the way around. Some are worse than others. Like there's one there that's caked up pretty good. And some guys, if they really wanted to, there's another one. Some guys, if they really wanted to, would go in there and file them down, sand them up with some emery cloth and put it back together, and it would probably be fine. But one thing we don't know about these is when the last time it was changed, if there's any cracks. In wet weather, is it running bad? Which we knew this one was, but we saw a burnt out plug wire. So for the cost of it, very minimal, like 18 bucks for the cap and like 7 or 8 bucks for the root. Not huge money, but peace of mind. At least we hope so. The parts are made in China after all. So all we've got left to do up here is to put in our plug wires, run them all around. The firing order on this 350 is the same as 350s and small block Chevys have been forever. You all know what it is because David Freiberger's got a t-shirt that's got it written on it. 1-843-6572. It's no different here. Unlike you Ford guys who felt the need to change it. On the same block, pretty much, 302s, they got 2 or 3 different firing orders. Why? I don't know. That was just a dig on the Ford guys. A lot of the Chrysler stuff followed the GM firing order, the V8 firing order, as I call it. I'm going to do plug wires, and then we can start this thing up and A, make sure she's going to start, and B, make sure it's going to run without a miss. So I'll be right back. Okay, wires are all connected. They're not organized as far as keeping them out of stuff yet, because we want to make sure they're in the right spot first. Runs pretty smooth. You gotta love it when a plan comes together. Let's get those all organized. And when I say all organized, from the factory, they came with these little clips that keep them from crossing over and falling down onto exhaust and stuff like that. So we're going to reuse those. So we've got our little clips in here and over here. One of the last things that we got to do is we've got to change out this circuit board on the wiper motor. These would fail, causing your delay wipers and your wipers not to work and stop in the proper spots. So there's 3 T20s Torx that's got to come out of here. This cover comes off, you unplug it, that board slides out, you put the new board in, put these back together. So we'll do that to a time lapse, and we'll be right back to throw a couple of wipers on this thing and wrap up this video. So let's get this wiper thing changed out. Well, I guess it helps to hit the record button on that time lapse. Sorry about that, folks. This is what we're up against. So you can tell that that thing is corroded quite bad throughout there. And what happens mostly is these two contacts here are what lose connection, but there's nothing sealing that away from the elements. The new kit came with a new cover and 3 new screws, which was good because I dropped one, never saw where it went, and that one right there broke off. The common problem, there was no real fix, just a lot of companies like Dorman offer these in the aftermarket, 88136, not real expensive. But they didn't fix anything. They even gave you a new door, but they didn't put an O-ring around it or seal it. So if you're inclined, go around that top leading edge and put a little bead of silicone and just wrap it around and help keep the water out of that thing. So the last thing we're going to do under here is we're going to replace our air filter. Now an air filter, people look at that and say, oh, it's no big deal. Well, for less than 20 bucks, you can help keep dirt and crap out of your engine and keep it running better. If it starts for air, it's going to overfuel. And with today's gas prices, you certainly don't want to be putting any more fuel down the throat of these things than you have to. Last thing we got to do is throw a couple of wiper blades on this thing. We can call this video done. Now, I don't know how many people know this, but the recommendation for replacing wiper blades is twice a year. That arm needs to be adjusted. Now, twice a year might seem excessive, and that could have been just something put together by the wiper blade manufacturers. But when you think about it, you're driving your car in 4 seasons. And as far as I can tell, there's not a wiper blade out there made for 4 seasons yet. Some will argue, there's a few. But nonetheless, if you're going to be running your car in all seasons, it's a few bucks to make sure you can see out your windshield properly, especially in the wintertime when ice and snow build up. Well, if I turn it off, it should park. Which it does. It's exactly what we want. It's still hitting there a little bit, but that's a project for another day. And I heard my fuel pump going, which prompted me to check this one more time. No fuel leaks. All right, guys, thanks for tuning into this video. I hope you learned a little bit. If you already knew all this stuff, well, I just hope you were entertained by me doing it and getting my hands dirty. Even though I didn't show a whole lot, it's just an idea of what it takes to do an actual tune-up. Today, you don't change spark plugs until you have a problem. Most vehicles don't have a fuel filter. But you do have air filters, cabin air filters, stuff like that. I encourage you to make sure you're changing those stuff out on a regular basis. So the old grandpa truck is working much better, seemingly, and hopefully we can see the difference in the fuel economy when that time comes at the pump. If you haven't done so already, consider subscribing. I'm on a quest to 50,000 subscribers by the end of 2026. We're somewhere around 43,000 right now, so it's doable and it's free to you. All you gotta do is hit that red subscribe button down below, and that way you'll get notified every time I put out a new video. Guys, stay focused on the windshield, not the rearview mirror. I love you guys. God bless. Let's do it again in the next video.